The Great Gatsby was a novel full of wondrous symbols. F. Scott Fitzgerald used these various important symbols to give the reader greater insight into the characters and themes of the novel. Today, a professional team of expert examiners will analyze the most important symbols found in the novel, the 1974 film, and the 2013 motion picture. We will take you on a journey through time with this wonderful tale.
During the Roaring Twenties, many people had their doubts about God, and morals were questioned. This is shown by F. Scott Fitzgerald through the eyes of T.J. Eckelberg in the novel. That locality was always vaguely disquieting, even in the broad glare of afternoon, and now I turned my head as though I had been warned of something behind. Over the ash heaps, the giant eyes of Dr. T.J. Eckelberg kept their vigil, but I perceived after a moment that other eyes were regarding us with peculiar intensity from less than 20 feet away. This quote demonstrates the importance of T.J. Eckelberg's eyes in the novel. The eyes are seen by Nick Carraway as sort of an omnipotent, all-seeing figure of guilt in the novel, and because of their symbolism, they appear at very important times. When Myrtle and her husband have a fight, when people arrive at the scene of the car crash, and any time Nick wants to make a point about God, T.J. Eckelberg's eyes make an appearance. The eyes are one of the most significant symbols in the novel and are even featured on the cover page. The eyes of T.J. Eckelberg have a prominent part in the 1974 Gatsby film. Every time there are questionable morals being presented, the eyes show up to cast down their judgment, like a god. When Gatsby's first party happens, the eyes act as a backdrop for the shadows of partygoers, almost as if a god is watching them. The next time they appear is when Tom and Nick go to visit Myrtle. Once again, T.J. Eckelberg's eyes act as an almighty, all-seeing power. Though the eyes of T.J. Eckelberg don't play as important of a role in the 2013 movie, there are still things that stick out. When Gatsby first takes Nick on a ride in his car, through the Valley of Ashes and into the city, the eyes appear when they pass the Wilson's house on the way downtown.
Cars are seen much throughout both movies and in the novel, and is one of the major symbols in the story, beginning with the 2013 movie. Cars represent parties, extravagance, and reckless decisions. This is shown in the scene where Tom and Jay were racing to the town. Their driving was dangerous and foreshadows Myrtle's death. In the novel, and partially in the 1974 film, cars are seen or portrayed individually by Gatsby's yellow custom Rolls-Royce. His flashy car and his amazing whip are both symbols of his recent influx of wealth. The fact that his car is a yellow creamy color can lead some to believe that it symbolizes not only money, but also corruption. It was a rich cream color, bright with nickel, swollen here and there in its monstrous length, with triumphant hat boxes and supper boxes and toolboxes, and terraced with a labyrinth of windshields that mirrored a dozen suns. The 1974 film is also very similar to the novel in the sense that it is focused on Gatsby's car. Primarily, it reflects the decisions based on his wealth.
The Green Lantern at the end of the Buchanan Dock in West Egg signifies many concepts throughout the novel. First, mentioned in the first chapter, the Green Lantern starts as just a single green light a minute and far away, but ends up meaning much more. F. Scott Fitzgerald uses the light to show hope in Gatsby's past. Then, during Chapter 5, when Daisy is visiting Gatsby's mansion, Jay tells her that even though he sometimes can't see her house over the bay, the lantern is always burning. Ever since the one fall night when Gatsby and Daisy met, Jay never forgot her. The light kept his hopes up and reminded him of all the good times he experienced with Daisy before going off to war. In the 1974 film by Jack Clayton, the green light is represented a little more literally. As Gatsby looked over the bay when Nick saw him first, the light provided clarity and reassurance. Gatsby hoped that Daisy would once drive over to his parties, but when she did not, the light still gave Gatsby hope. Clayton uses the light as an answer to Gatsby's problems. Instead of just representing hope, Gatsby desires the green light and everything around it. When the motion picture starts, the lantern is introduced early when Nick is in the sanitarium. Many times when the scene is changed, the lantern is the basis of the change and represents new times arriving and how Gatsby cannot relive the past. Also, Gatsby wears a green ring, easily seen in the first scene with Nick at his party, which identifies his longing affection for Daisy and how he is committed to finding and loving her. Putting on that ring shows that he is willing to do anything for Daisy, as any husband would do for his bride.
Old Sport is Gatsby's catchphrase that was constantly repeated throughout the novel. It is associated typically with England and aristocratic wealth, something Gatsby strives to live by. Gatsby uses this phrase repeatedly when he meets or says goodbye to someone. He picks up his keynote phrase in his younger years when he befriends Dan Cody, someone who will influence the luxurious and elegant lifestyle. The first time that Old Sport is said is when Gatsby was inviting Nick to go hydroplaning with him, and Jay came off as a very high-class man. Gatsby says it 40 other times in the novel, and one time it is said by Tom Buchanan mocking Gatsby for the overuse of his phrase. In the 1974 movie, the phrase Old Sport is not used to the degree that it is in the novel and the 2013 movie. The first time that Old Sport was said in the 1974 movie was the very first time Gatsby conversed with Nick. It is only said 10 more times in the movie, which is a lot less than the novel. Because it isn't said much, each time it is used means more than in either the novel or the 2013 movie. When Gatsby says Old Sport in this film, he has an endearing way of delivering it confidently and subtly. Jay Gatsby says Old Sport a lot in the 2013 motion picture. It serves as a suffix to almost everything he says. It is a large part of the story and says a lot about his character, a cultivated effect that he stole from someone whose wealth was a real part of their life. Repetition is a very important tool used in this movie as well. It is almost forcing the phrase at you, reassuring you that Gatsby is a confident, wealthy man. The first time that Old Sport is said in the 2013 movie is also when Gatsby introduced himself to Nick. It was said 58 more times, which is the most out of the novel and the 1974 film. You can tell that the importance is in the amount of times the phrase said, not each individual occurrence.
The use of music was traditional in the 1974 film and did not interfere with the dialogue or plot. In the 2013 version, the music was too flashy and current. For example, when Nick goes with Tom Buchanan to the hotel room for drinks, the scene is transformed by the music in a bad way. I Can't Stop by Flux Pavilion was too electronic and dubstep for the 1920s and the film in general. In the novel, the buildings and architecture are very subtle and relevant. In the 1974 film, the buildings follow this style, but the skyline in the 2013 film was very exaggerated and not accurate. Every component of costumes was too flashy in the 2013 film, whether it be dancers at Gatsby's parties or clothing of the characters.
In terms of representing the times, Baz Luhrmann overdid the 2013 film. His interpretation of the 20s was less applicable to the description of the novel as the 1974 film. When the setting is portrayed, Clayton gives the East and West Egg a nice rustic, classical look, while in the 2013 film, Clayton portrays New York as the various eggs as a gigantic, roaring places. While all the other symbols found in the novel are shown in both films, the 1974 version reveals the ulterior meanings similar to the novel. F. Scott Fitzgerald described how it takes two to make an accident, and the cars play a big role in the outcome of the novel. The cars in the 2013 version were known for their speed and carelessness, but in the 1974 film, the cars are represented not only with wealth, but responsibility. The same responsibility that comes with marrying someone and saying your vows to the love of them and being responsible for everything you do with them.
Although both films portrayed some of the unique aspects included in Fitzgerald's novel, there are a few areas that could have been changed to more accurately distinguish specific sections of the novel. First, Tom should not have been portrayed as badly as he was in both films. Even though he cheated on his wife, he is not an all-around bad person. In Luhrmann's film, Tom looks like a villain when he does not accept Nick's phone call, but really he is just trying to protect his wife's feelings. Tom is not as bad as he is thought to be, and Luhrmann and Clayton should have added more positive aspects of his complex character. In addition, the movies need to include more personal and emotional feeling into each character. The major Hollywood components of each of the films interfered with the audience being able to connect with each character. For example, Nick really shows and tells a lot about how he is feeling at every point in the novel, whether it be going to his first party at Gatsby's or watching almost nobody show up for Gatsby's funeral. All the glitter does not allow characters to show who they truly are as depicted in the novel.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this touching work of art. The cast and I would like to say thank you and good night, Old Sport.